Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on, guys? It's Filthy and I'm back with another video. Today we're looking at the Patterns of Justice, which is the new monk set that's been added this season. I've had a lot of questions on the God tier build video and also my Sunwuko video as to what's better, Sunwuko or Patterns of Justice. Now, I think Sunwuko is better for pushing, but POG I think is actually going to be my favourite for speed farming. So this is a GR95 Rift Guardian that's just going to get insta-melted. Now I've got about 12,000 in main stats, so really low requirements, no season theme, and GR95 we're doing it in say 2.5, 3.5 minutes depending on the map and the RNG. One of the things I really like is it's very flexible. You can pretty much gear various different options to make this work, so really good for early season, really good for casual players who maybe don't have so much time to sink into specific gear pieces. Before we jump into it, guys, a quick word from today's video sponsor. I'm very pleased to say that Raid Shadow Legends have sponsored today's video. Raid is a turn-based RPG and it is done very well. Now I know you've probably already heard about it because it is getting promoted everywhere, but there is a great reason for it. Raid is one of the top 3 ranked RPGs on the Google Play Store and it's just been nominated as a finalist for Google Play's Best of 2019 Users' Choice Award. Now I can certainly see why, having played the game. It is really fun and it is obviously voted for by users. The game's crazy popular and there's been almost 15 million downloads in the last 6 months, and links to download the game will be in the description. There are over 400 champions for you to collect and personally customise, and the character models look lovely, and this is one of the things that I really enjoy about the game, collecting up the characters, ranking them up. So these are the heroes that I've got. My favourite at the moment is Gaelic the Orc, which is the one that I chose to start with. Get choice of 4, but I just think this guy looks absolutely badass. But my Acolyte's also pretty cool as well. And certainly the best part about it, guys, it's completely free to play. Now they do add cool features every month, so at the moment they're adding 16 new champions every single month. Even just for working your way through the game, once you complete the missions you'll get one of the best legendary champions in it, the Arbiter. The game's growing incredibly fast and they've put up a roadmap video that's really interesting to check out. They've got some huge plans for updates over the next 6 months. You can find me in the game under Filthy Casual YT in capitals and join my clan, which is called Raid Filthy Casuals, clan tag FCYT, so I hope to see you there. The link to download the game, as I say, is in the video description, and you will get a new player bonus of extra resources, so 50,000 silver and a free epic champion as part of the new player program, and I wish you the best of luck with the game. So jumping in and looking at the gear, we're going to be wearing 5 pieces of the Patterns of Justice and we're going to mix it with the Crimson set. Now the bonuses on Patterns of Justice are pretty good. So the 2-piece Sweeping Wind gains the effect of every rune. That's not particularly important, there aren't really any that benefit us in a speed build, but what we do get is we get 5% move speed for every stack of Sweeping Wind. Now you get a choice with this. You either get 3 stacks, which is 15% move speed, or you can take a weapon that will give you an extra 10 stacks, so that works out to be 65% move speed. Now the weapons, as I say, are flexible, so we'll go over those next. But just remember, you can get quite a lot of move speed out of this if you want. Now on the 4-piece, attacking with Tempest Rush reduces your damage taken by 50%, really nice damage reduction there. We also get increased spirit regen of 50, so this is much easier to play than the Sunwuko version. Because there's 50 spirit regen, we don't have any spirit problems. You can do as much attack speed as you want, you can take speed pylons, nothing to worry about. It's a very easy, very lazy, which obviously we like a lot. Now the 6-piece, hitting with Tempest Rush while Sweeping Wind is active increases the size of Sweeping Wind, but importantly we also get a damage modifier of 15,000%. Now this is to everything, so all damage, it's not any set skills, which is really nice and is something we can potentially take advantage of with the weapon selection. Now we're going to take the 2-piece Crimsons, so this is giving us extra cooldown, extra resource cost reduction on the 2-piece, life per second as well. 3-piece, we get extra damage as per our cooldown reductions and also extra toughness for our resource cost rolls. You don't really need any resource cost rolls, I don't have any, but cooldown obviously is very handy because it is more damage, and we do have some large cooldown skills, so obviously handy for that too. Now you're going to have to take the belt, but it's a toss up between boots and or pants as to which one you go for. Now weapon wise and completely non-negotiable is the 1 Kim Lao. This is new for 267 and hitting with Tempest Rush will activate Cyclone Strike, and both skills get 600% multiplicative damage. Cyclone Strike's not doing any damage, but Tempest Rush sure is. This is obviously a huge multiplier for us. We're also going to take a lot of advantage of that automatic Cyclone Strike. It's going to make the build very lazy and very easy to play. Also buffing up our Tempest Rush, we're going to have a balance in the cube, so Tempest Rush again gets another 600% multiplier. When we hit through a few enemies, we get 100% critical hit chance, excellent for the Rift Guardian. We're also going to take Caesar's Memento Braces, so up to 800% on the Tempest Rush damage. 5 seconds after we blind, freeze or stun, we're going to be blinding, and we're also going to be freezing. The freeze is automatic, the blind will manually cast, but it doesn't matter too much for this multiplier, it's just always up, which is really handy. Now, as for weapon selection, we have choice of 3. I'd say probably my favourite and the best one is a Vengeful Wind. This will increase the maximum stacks of Sweeping Wind by 10, so we normally get 3 stacks of this, so that will go up to 13. The multiplicative roll in the Sweeping Wind doesn't seem to matter. Sweeping Wind doesn't seem to do much damage, so I won't worry too much on that. Mine obviously is incredibly low, at only 607%, and we're doing 95 pretty comfortably. This basically just gives us more move speed, because if you remember on the Patterns of Justice 2-piece, we get 5% per stack, so it's 65% move speed, which obviously is pretty handy. Now, I've also played a lot with Reinhardt. Now, this is obviously a little bit weird, but we get a 20% on hit to instantly deal 10,000 weapon damage as cold to enemies that are frozen. In the build, when we get to the skills, you'll see we've always got enemies frozen, so this in theory dumps out a bit more damage. Now, to be honest, there isn't much difference in the clear times between the two. One thing I would say is this is only going to affect one target. I don't know if it's on an internal cooldown, and my clears were slightly quicker with the Vengeful Wind, but the good news is if you find yourself a nice Reinhardt, obviously you can use it and you can get on just fine with it. Now, the third option that I tested was also Echoing Fury. This also is pretty quick because this will give us a stacking attack speed buff and stacking move speed buff. So whenever we make a kill, we get both 5% move speed and also 15% attack speed. Both of those stack 5 times, so that's 75% attack speed and 25% move speed. Now, I did find that it wasn't quite as quick as the Vengeful Wind, because realistically it's the Tempest Rush that's doing all the damage. The extra attack speed is nice, but it's not particularly super important, so I do think Vengeful Wind is probably the best in slot, but again, an Echoing Fury is certainly fine. Now, in the footage in the background, I will have indicated which weapon I'm using. I've taped all 3. I did drop it to 94 for the Echoing Fury because it's not ancient, so it is fairly decent damage drop when I put this one on, but any of these 3 weapons will do in your offhand. And pretty much again, if you do find a decent offhand weapon, you can certainly take it, even if it's not one of these 3, but it's just interesting. All 3 seem to do around about the 2.5-3 minute mark, depending on the RNG of the map. So looking at the rest of the gear, Flavour of Time, an amazing speed farming item. We get double duration of pylons. With our rifts being so quick, this is really powerful because it means that we pretty much have perma double pylons. An Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, whenever we hit with a spender, so in this case Tempest Rush, we get 1 second reduction in a cooldown at random. Really handy. We've only really got a couple of skills that do go on cooldown, and it does help bring them back very quickly, so you're looking for perma uptime on most skills. Invention of Elements is just more damage. When this rolls around onto cold, we've got a big bomb that we can detonate, so we'll talk about the mechanics when we go through the skills, but this is basically, you want to look out for physical, because physical comes just before cold, and cold is going to be our damaging window. And rounding things out in the cube, Nemesis Braces, we just want the progression, so extra champions off pylons is amazing. And then a Rogue to round out the set bonuses. Legendary Gem wise, Bane of the Trapped. This is a close range build, so that's absolutely perfect. Extra damage is procced automatically by the Bane of the Trapped, but also the freeze covers it as well. We're going to take a Taeguk. When we channel, we get extra damage and extra armor. Obviously both really nice, really handy for the build. And we're also going to take a Bane of the Powerful. So once we pop that first elite or champ pack and kill all the ads, we get a nice damage buff. We also get 15% increased damage against elites generally, and 15% damage reduction from them. Again, really handy. Gems wise, we've gone for all res gems in the gear just to buff up the toughness. Again, when we look at the skills, we're going to get something that's going to really help this out a lot. And then for the helm, I've gone cooldown. I would only really go for cooldown just because it's more damage because of the crimsons. So we're going to take Tempest Rush Flurry. This has got a stacking effect. We hold down Tempest Rush and the stacks build up to a maximum of 100. Each stack adds 90% weapon damage to our detonation when we let go of it, or when we click left click. At 100 stacks, we're doing max damage, so the idea is that you want to release them on cold at 100. That's kind of how the push build works, but for this build, you'll note in the footage, I'm just letting it go at about 20 to 30 stacks, and it will pretty much melt everything, so you don't necessarily need to pay too much attention to your convention, but obviously if you can time releasing Tempest Rush on cold, you will obviously be doing more damage, but you don't need to sweat it. It's not particularly mandatory because it is just a speed build. Blinding Flash, Faith of the Light. This is on a 15-second cooldown. It gives us 29% extra damage when we activate it. So the playstyle is going to be hold down Tempest Rush and then preferably click Blinding Flash to release it. So when you left click, you will automatically release your Tempest Rush stacks. You get this 29% extra damage on top, which obviously is really handy and means that you can pretty much put things down with only 20 to 30 stacks of Tempest Rush. The cooldown will come back very quickly. It's not always up, so you can let go of your Tempest Rush stacks when you don't have this available. Not a problem at all, but it's just there, again, another way of eking out some more damage. For Sweeping Wind, we get all the runes. None of them are particularly important. We get Spirit Regen for one of them naturally, which is nice. Now, the freeze rune makes it look like you get a freeze, but you have to hit them for 3 seconds consecutively with Sweeping Wind. Nothing will be alive for that long, so you don't need to worry about it. It's just on the bar and it gets every rune. Epiphany, Desert Shroud. This will give us Spirit Regen and also will give us a 50% damage reduction. Obviously really handy. GR95 will hit you like a truck, so extra damage reduction is super useful. Mantra of Salvation. Now the passive effect of this will give us 20% increased resistances. Now when we activate it, that goes up to 40%, we get an extra 20%, and that's huge because with the diamonds and the gear we obviously have all res, and that's just massive for toughness. I pretty much just spam this, so whenever it's available you can use it. You don't have to, as you can see I've not got it up all the time in the footage, but you just pop it and it's extra toughness. Now we're going to take Cyclone Strike on the bar. This gets automatically cast whenever we Tempest Rush through the 1 Kim Lao. We're going to go for the Freeze Rune because we want the Caesar's Memento effect up all the time. So this sucks enemies in, it freezes them. That's why the Rhyme Heart works, because everything is frozen. That's why we get so much utility out of the Caesar's Memento, because just literally everything is frozen and it's taking that massive damage from Tempest Rush. Passives wise, Beacon of Ytar, essential, 20% cooldown, helps with Epiphany, also is more damage generally. Harmony is going to buff up our elemental resistances, pairs really well obviously with the Mantra of Salvation, really well with our diamonds in our gear. Relentless Assault, 20% extra damage against blinded, frozen, stunned enemies. Obviously we've got the freeze, so we get 20% extra damage. And then Momentum, moving 25 yards gives us another 20% damage buff, so really handy. But honestly guys, passive wise you can swap in pretty much whatever you want. If you want to take near death experience, you don't lose your gem ups, that's absolutely fine. You can also take Seize the Initiative for some attack speed, doesn't really matter, just choose what you want. Now in terms of swaps, there's 2 things you can put in the cube. You could go for a Lefebvre's Soliloquy if you're struggling to stay alive, this will give you a 50% damage reduction. Or you could go for a Mantle of Channeling. This would only be a 25% damage reduction, but it would also give you 25% extra damage. So maybe if you wanted to take this up a couple of rift levels, you'd put the Mantle of Channeling on. That would help you out quite a lot. So another swap you could do is take off the Bane of the Powerful and put a Wreath of Lightning, which will give you a bit more move speed. But honestly, with the Sweeping Wind at 13 stacks from Vengeful Wind, 65% move speed is quite a lot. And also if you take the Echoing Fury, you get move speed off that. Now as for stat priorities, you really want cooldown wherever you can get it. I don't have it for instance on shoulders and on gloves, so my Epiphany does drop off from time to time, so I'd like it preferably on both of those. You want double crit wherever you can get it. You want cold damage on your braces and ideally on your amulet, but obviously it's tough to get that on a Flavour of Time. My sheet cooldown for instance is 55%, that's without having it on pretty much most of the pieces that you'd expect, so more cooldown would be more damage for me, and also it'd be more uptime on Epiphany, so yeah, would be pretty handy. Tempest Rush damage goes on your boots, you can also get it on your helm, but crit chance is fine. As always guys, there will be a D3 planner link with the suggested stats. For your Paragon points, you don't need anything in max spirit, you want to get move speed up to 25%. I've put some points into Vitality just to avoid dying, but I've only put 100 in, so you could easily take these out. So just manage that, you don't want to die when you're doing your gem ups, so just a little bit in Vitality, or maybe put on near death experience. For offense, you want cooldown reduction, then your crits, and lastly attack speed. For defense, you want all res, life percent, armor, and then life regen. For utility, area damage is fine. It does, Tempest Rush does benefit from area damage, providing you're releasing your stacks often enough, and because of the freeze that goes on. Resource cost reduction, life per hit, and cold find. But honestly, guys, you'll just melt stuff with this. It's really easy. Now if you do want to push with the build, you'll be making one of these swaps, so either Lefebvre's or Mantle of Channeling in the cube. I probably would take out the Bane of the Powerful for a Stricken. As I say, I think Sunwuko is the better choice, so this isn't really a push guide. But GR95 in about 2.5-3 minutes is pretty pleasing. As I say, 12k main stat, you know, fine. We've got a couple of nice pieces here and there, but then we've also got, you know, non-ancients for the helm, for the trousers, braces, and also the gloves. So there's plenty of room for me to improve this build as I go. And as we say, plenty more cooldown would be helpful. So that's the build, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you could leave me a thumbs up, that would be greatly appreciated. And I'll see you in the future for some more Season 19 content very soon. Take it easy. Peace.